again, everybody. Heather here. Today's reading are some selected poems of poet Langston Hughes. It's called The Collected Poems of Langston Hughes. Arnold Rampersad is the editor. David Rossell is the associate editor. And here is the cover. Langston Hughes, The Collected Poems of Langston Hughes. So his full name is James Mercer Langston Hughes, and he lived from February 1901 to May 22nd, 1967. So it'll give you an idea of the time frame that he was writing from, the frame of reference he was writing from. He was a central figure in the Harlem Renaissance, which is the flowering of black intellectual, literary, and artistic life that took place in the 1920s in a number of American cities, particularly Harlem. A major poet, Hughes also wrote novels, short stories, essays, and plays. His attention to working-class African-American lives, coupled with his refusal to paint these lives as either saintly or stereotypical, brought criticism from several directions, both from the white community and from the black community. So he was maybe not appreciated enough during his time and until later, and so I would like to share a few of his poems, starting with one of his most well-known poems. Is called Harlem 2. This is Harlem 2, and also known as a dream deferred. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? So that's that poem. That is What Happens to a Dream Deferred, or Harlem. And the second one, give me a moment. The second one is called Message to the President, and it is a longer poem. Mr. President, kindly please, may I have a word with you? There's one thing for a long time I've been wishing you would do. In your fireside chats on the radio, I hear you telling the world what you want them to know. And your speeches in general sound mighty fine. But there's one thing, Mr. President, that worries my mind. I hear you talking about freedom for the Finn, the Jew, the Czechoslovak. But you never seem to mention us folks who are black. We're all Americans, Mr. President, and I've had enough of putting up with this Jim Crow stuff. I want the same rights as other Americans have today. I want to fly a plane like any other man. I don't like this Jim Crow Army or this Jim Crow Navy or the lily white Marines licking up the gravy. We're 1/10 of the nation, Mr. President, 14 million strong. If you help keep us down, you're wrong. We work and pay our taxes, our patriotism's good. We try to live like decent Americans should. That's why as citizens, Mr. President, we have the right to demand the next time you make a speech, take an all-out stand. And make your meaning just as clear to me as you do when talking about those Englishmen across the sea. Since for our land's defense, if we have to fight, we ought to be together, black and white. So what I'm asking, Mr. President, is to hear you say no more segregation in the USA. And when you mention the Finns and the Jew and the Czechoslovak, don't forget the 14 million who are black. Such a speech, Mr. President, from me would set a whole lot more would put a whole lot more meaning in democracy. So the next time you sit down to that radio, just like you lambast Hitler, For all I'm asking, Mr. President, is to hear you say no more segregation in the USA. My friends, no more segregation in the USA. And I want to read next is Gone Boy, and that is on page 455. Gone Boy. It kind of speaks to how the household that he grew up in. Playboy of the dawn, solid gone, out all night, until 12, 1, 2 a.m. Next day, when he should be gone to work, doggone, he ain't gone. And then the last one I want to share with you is called Argument, and that is on page 421. And it's called Argument 2. White is right, yellow mellow, black get back. Do you believe that, Jack? Sure do. Then you're a dope for which there ain't no hope. Black is fine, and God knows it's mine. So thank you, Mr. Langston Hughes, and you all have a great day and carry on.